Hi guys, so today I'm going to remove a perfectly good bracket for the Zumo sat-nav and fit a new fitting bracket, which was the Rally Raid Billet Aluminium Multi-Mount. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Effectively, I'm going to remove this one and put this one on. So let's see how it goes. So guys, first look at the Rally Raid mount. Is there? And that's the bit that faces forward, with this hole here being the fixing point onto the 12mm mounting bar on the Honda CB500X. And then this piece here is the mounting plate for a number of different fixings, and obviously for me I've got a Garmin sat-nav. So it has, I believe there, I just need to check, there are M4 holes which are AMPS designed for Garmin, and they're threaded. So in theory that means that we just screw through into the threaded bolts here, threaded holes here, and that's it fixed. It also has M5 tapped holes. And it's designed for Garmin's, TomToms, RAM mounts, so I guess it's a multifunctional mounting plate, but predominantly Rally Raid have made it for the Honda CB500X and the Yamaha T700. It's made out of billet aluminium, and first look at it is it's really well cut, well engineered, and it's designed to be able to, this is the mounting bracket here, this bit is the mounting bracket, and that's the fixing plate, and it's designed so that the mounting bracket, this here, fits the 12mm accessory bar on the Honda CB500X without having to take the screen off. I'm going to take the screen off because I need to take the old one off, which needs the screen to come off, so it's just going to be easier to keep it off while I fit it. But it looks a very straightforward, simple fitting. I've got different bolts on my Zumo mounting at the moment, and I'm not entirely sure I've got the right bolts for these, so I may have to get those, but we'll see when we get there. But a lovely bit of kit, quite a lot of money for what it is. But it's really, really nicely engineered. So let's get on, let's get it fitted and see if I've got right bolts or not. If not, that bit'll have to wait. Right guys, before I just get round to mounting the Rally Raid mounting block, I need to take this off, but I just wanted to explain the reason why I've bought the Rally Raid. To start with, I have tried 2 or 3 ways of mounting the sat-nav to the accessory bar, and one of them is with this mounting block here, which is plastic, and actually isn't quite the right size for the 12mm bar. However, once tightened up, although it left a bit of a gap, it's still tightened up firm, but just not right for me from that point of view. And also, once this mounting plate is fitted, this plastic, I think it was a Zumo originally, but I've had it for years. Once that's mounted, you still have to mount your RAM mount, which is this bit here, and that's a ball RAM mount on a plate. you still have to fix a ram mount on the back of the Zumo, and for me that was a knurled knob which went over the ball on this plate and then tightened up. However, that meant that, as you can see there, there's what, 1.5 inches, a couple of inches away from this bar here. So that gap, a couple of inches from the bar. Now this bar on the Honda CB500X vibrates quite a bit. It vibrates sufficiently bad enough that when I've used the camera, which was a Drift Ghost XL, on this bar, accessory bar, it doesn't work. It vibrates. Just it has a little bit of vibration, but on a camera that's enough to spoil it. And I've had plenty of comments about the poor footage that comes from the camera mounted here. On that note, I've actually got things figured out now and come up with a solution, but I'll do that in a separate video when I go over the Drift camera and its mounting points. However, that hasn't worked for the reasons I've said. I also tried a ram mount, which was just a basic bracket on the bar, and then had the ball in exactly the same manner as this, so it was still sticking out that couple of inches, and that was all working fine. But for me travelling long distance, for me getting this bike fine-tuned to myself, this had to go, and the only solution to that I could find was the Rally Raid, which is a little bit expensive, but having looked at it now, it seems to fit perfectly. So the old bar mount has now been removed. The ram mount that was mounted on the Zumo mount has been removed. We keep the Zumo mount, obviously, and the next thing is to fit the Rally Raid bar mount, and then effectively the sat-nav mount. Now there's 2 hex bolts. The one that holds the mounting plate to the bar clamp is a 6mm hex key, well, bolt. So I've just loosened that off and I'll remove that. So that's the mounting plate, which I'm just going to put down here out of the way for now. And this is our mounting bracket. These bolts are 5mm. So what we're going to do there is just remove those. So that's that now in 2 parts, and you can see the clear and excellent engineering on these billet aluminium pieces. And this is designed specifically for the 12mm bar on the Honda CB500X, and I understand the Yamaha Tenere 700 must have the same 12mm bar. So the logoed part, the logoed part goes to the front, and the part that accepts the sat-nav mount goes on the back. And the reason for that is that under normal circumstances you could leave the screen on to mount this bracket. I've taken it off because it was easier to remove. I had to remove the old one. So I'm just going to fix these bolts through, and I've put a little bit of Loctite in. Now these will want to be tightened up evenly because there is a gap in the actual between the 2 pieces of aluminium billet. And I'm just going to position it so that it's roughly where I think it should be, but it is centered on this bar. So that's just nipped up, and what I'm going to do next is just offer this plate up. I'm not going to Loctite that one because it'll be coming off again once I've got to a point I sit on the bike and then level it up to exactly where I need it to be. And then this Zumo mounting will fit something like that. And when that's screwed through, when the bolts are put through, bear in mind that these are threaded holes that are in this mounting plate. Once that's screwed on, that's the position it's going to be, and that's brought it down probably to about 3/4 of an inch, maybe just slightly under. A lot neater, and with it being the aluminium billet, the billet aluminium, sorry, and this is aluminium as well, I'm making an assumption this will be a steadier mounting for the sat-nav. Time will tell though. So I'm going to just screw these in to position them so that we'll just see how we get on with that. So these little bolts are the original Zumo threads, although they have been cut down for previous use on a different fitting. However, I know that they do fit because I've tried it. So the nice thing for me about this is this mounting plate here is designed, as I'd mentioned earlier, to accept the Zumo bolts or screws, and that means that this thing will sit very solid on the mounting plate. It does have rubber fixings on the back and inside to give a bit of dampening in the design of this mount. So I had to just move the bike back a little bit into the garage. Hopefully that's still going to be clear enough to see, and I've just got that final little screw to locate, and I'm just going to nip these up. I'm not going to tighten them up because it may well have to come off to adjust it again into the right position once I've tested it. So that's the mounting, and still got to be adjusted by sitting on the bike and just getting it to the right position. But just swinging it round, I don't know whether you can actually see or not, but there's just a slight gap because of the rubber grommets, and that's designed to cushion it in the general riding of the bike. So that's the job complete. I'm just going to pop the sat nav on, and then we can have a little look round. It's a lot neater. It's a lot firmer, and with it all being aluminium, the strength will be there for this sat nav to stay nice and firm. You can just maybe see the little, whoops, it's very hard to see, but there you can just see where the gap is. There's little rubber mounts on the Zumo bracket, and that just gives a little bit of shock absorbency. But I'm pleased with that. The gap has now narrowed probably about 1.25 inches, It was protruding out, I reckon, about 2 inches, and I think that's gone down to about 3/4 of an inch. And it sits quite neatly on the well, sits very, very neatly on the Honda CB500X accessory bar. So just to show you what it actually looks like when it's switched on, I've got it wired in on a switched wire, so as soon as I switch the ignition on, it'll come on, which it does. And that's the view from the cockpit. Very neat, really good, dead happy with it. Just pop the screen back on and then the job's done. Well, that's the job done. I'm very, very happy with it. I think it was around about 50 quid for the actual part, which is a lot for, you know, a small part. But it's designed really well to be able to mount my Garmin Zumo, and it mounts onto the bar for the Honda CB500X really well. It's very solid compared to how it was before. Previously, although it was okay riding it, there was a little bit of movement. I could move that around a little bit, just a touch. Now it's solid. Remember, there's some rubber mounts on the back of it, so that's the anti-vibration bit. And I'm just so pleased with the way that's worked out. I tried my best to use what I had in the spare bin bucket I've got of bits and pieces over the years. But in the end, getting something that does the job and does it well is worth every penny of what I've spent. Thanks guys, we'll see you again soon.